Okay, hello again, finance class. We're continuing on chapter 9. Funny thing, we just had an online session, and I know I told everyone in that class. Actually, future generations, you're not going to understand this, but I just had an online session with the current year's class, and I told them, no, I'm not going to record all the videos in one day because that made me go crazy on the last chapter. But I don't know. I feel pretty alive and awake. We're doing pretty good on time. I think I'm going to go for it. I wasn't going to record any more videos today, but yeah, why not? Let's give it a shot. Maybe I'll do one or two more. So we're going to pick up on video 2.3. We are on page 197. This is long-term care insurance. Now, this is not necessarily something that you might need as a young adult, but it is something you have to start thinking about as you get into your middle years or middle-aged life. The reason why I say middle-aged life is because, some terrible things can happen to you in your mid-30s and 40s. Sometimes people have massive strokes or heart attacks that make them bedridden for the rest of their life. You could develop a brain tumor. You could develop some type of cancer in your middle age. You could also develop some type of brain disease and turn into a vegetable. Terrible things to think about, but, that's life, and we should try to prepare for it financially as best as we can. So without further ado, let's talk about the super happy, joyful discussion of long-term care insurance.
Long-term care insurance is for nursing home, for assisted living facilities, and if you get a good policy, it's for in-home care. Now, how many of you in here are over 60 years old? Raise your hand. Good, just a few of you. Okay, how many of you have parents that are living that are over 65 years old? Raise your hand. See, the number one problem facing this next generation, statistically, is not how to pay for their kids' college. It's how to take care of their parents. That's what's coming. Financially, this is a huge, huge deal. I do not recommend long-term care insurance until you're 60. I do not recommend long-term care insurance until you're 60.
Okay. Right before I started, I already disagreed with that, right? Remember, I told you guys this is something you might want to look into in your middle ages. The reason why I say this is because my mom actually works in a convalescent hospital, one of these long-term care hospitals. And a good number of her patients, I'd guesstimate maybe about a quarter to a third of her patients are middle-aged people that just turned into vegetables, or that had some terrible life events happen to them that ended up making them need long-term care. So, if you're not in the financial situation in your middle years, mid to late 30s, mid to late 40s, we'll say around 40, 45-ish. If you're not in that situation around 40, 45, financially to where you can afford long-term care insurance and start looking at it, then I guess you can wait. But just knowing someone that works at a convalescent hospital and seeing the possibility that this does actually happen to quite a few people in their middle ages, maybe that's not exactly a risk that I want to look for. So, when I start hitting around, late 30s, 40s, I'll probably get some long-term care insurance. Now, half of you are thinking, like, Mr. Claiborne, you're not there already? Yeah, I know who you are. You're losing points. Just kidding. I wouldn't do that, would I? Okay.
Of a nursing home stay prior to 60 is almost zero. It's a rip. Don't buy it. At 60, on your 60th birthday, buy long-term care insurance immediately, because it changes right there. The stats start shifting right there. I've studied this stuff for years. I am a huge proponent of this insurance because it's so expensive. See, here's what happens. Typically, 75% of you ladies will outlive your husbands. And so what happens is you work and you build up a nest egg of $300,000. And then Pop goes in the nursing home because most of you ladies outlive your husbands. And he stays there $30,000 to $50,000 to $70,000 a year, and he stays there 4 or 5 years. And he pretty much eats up the nest egg, passes away. Grandma's there, she's in great shape, but she got no food money. We left her broke because the nest egg killed the goose that lays the golden eggs, cracked and scrambled the nest egg. And the nursing home knocked that out. And I'm not against nursing homes. I think nursing homes are just like anybody else. They ought to be paid if they provide a service. And if you're buying a nursing home service, I don't know why you think you shouldn't have to pay them. You ought to have to pay them. If the ambulance comes and picks you up, you ought to have to pay for the ambulance. If you buy a car, you ought to have to pay for a car. Why is this hard? You know, so I'm not mad at the nursing home people. Some of them do a better job than others, just like any other industry. But the nursing home will crack and scramble your nest egg. And so have long-term care insurance in place to take care of that. It's not that expensive. The problem is that you have to have this, well, with your parents, you have to sit down and talk to them about it. Now that you've seen this lesson, you have to have the talk. And your parents probably aren't going to want to listen to you about money. Because when you're discussing money stuff with your parents, you face the powdered butt syndrome. The powdered butt syndrome is once someone has powdered your butt, they really don't want your opinion on money or sex. And so when you go to sit down and say, Mom and Dad, we're going to talk, they say, right, you got something to tell me. But you know, the problem is if they don't get this long-term care insurance or they don't allow you to get it for them if you're financially able, then we could be talking about a $300,000 or $400,000 mistake. I had a friend of mine not long ago, 62 years old, call me up. I had a long conversation with him when he was 62. His wife was 65 at the time. And he said, Dave, man, these guys trying to sell me this long-term care. What do you think about this long-term care? I don't think it's a insurance ripoff. And I said, it's not an insurance ripoff. You need to buy it. You need to buy it right now. And this guy has, I don't know, he's probably got $700,000, $800,000 cash. And he's got some real estate. It's an old family farm. It's probably worth another $500,000 or so, right? So they've got some assets, but they're not just filthy rich, right? They're doing pretty good, though. He's a millionaire in terms of net worth. And literally, he didn't buy it because it was an insurance ripoff. And he didn't go buy it like I told him to. I don't know why he asked my opinion if he wasn't going to take it. I mean, it wasn't a radio call. I spent 20 minutes talking to him, trying to get him to do it. He still didn't do it. Sad thing was, about a year after I had that discussion with him, his 65-year-old wife, in perfect physical condition, begins the first stages of Alzheimer's. An Alzheimer's patient at that age and that kind of physical condition, it's not unusual at all for her to live 15 years. And a lot of that, she'll need care. And so he made probably a $300,000 or $400,000, maybe a $500,000 mistake by not listening to me. I really wish I'd talked him into it, but now I'm just having to watch this unfold. 69% of you out there will spend some time in need of long-term care after age 65. Let me have 10 people stand up right here, beginning with you, ma'am. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 10 people sitting there. Would you three sit down, please? Yes, sir, that would be you too. Thank you. Okay? That's 7 out of 10 of you will need long-term care. Now, I'm not saying this anytime soon, y'all. You're all looking pretty good, okay? So have a seat. Give them a hand, all right? The last 6 months of your life could be more expensive than any decade of your life. You have to be ready with health insurance and long-term care insurance. It is the most expensive time of your life, is the last 6 months of your life. And you can't hide assets. I'm just going to move all the stuff out of Daddy's name so that we can get the government to pay for it. That is called a federal crime. Okay? Because when the government pays for nursing home, that's under the Medicaid plan, that's welfare, which is designed for people who don't have any money. When you transfer assets out of your name to act like you don't have any money to get the government to pay for your stuff, that's fraud. It's criminal fraud, and they will prosecute you on this issue. They are big-time tough, and they can look back 36 months on some types of assets and as far as back 60 months, 5 years on you moving stuff around to hide it so you can get mom and dad on the welfare plan instead of mom and dad on the long-term care insurance plan. Don't even look at, I mean, I don't want to retire on Social Security, and I don't want Medicaid taking care of me if I need care in a nursing home. Buy the right kind of financial planning tools like long-term care insurance. This is absolutely vital.
Okay. So, like I said, super fun, exciting topic. The main thing about long-term care insurance is, let's say, you just can't afford it around middle age. Definitely get it by the time you retire. And what he said is very true. It costs a lot of money to die. I can't remember who said it, but I remember hearing someone say a joke once about how expensive it was to die. Um, but it's not cheap at all, and it's definitely not a burden that you want to place on your family or your children. So prepare for the future. And if you're, for example, I know a friend of mine. I want to say he's about 39, 40, and there's a type of I think it's a heart or circulatory, or it might be a spinal cord. There's a disease that runs in his family. His dad just died of it last year, and it can start as early as age 50. So if you've got something like that, I can't remember what the disease is. I think it's something related to his heart flow, or it might be nervous system related. I can't remember. I think it's heart flow. Anyways, but it runs in his family, and it's something that his dad just died of last year, and he's getting pretty close to the age where it could start. And that's something that he should look at, because his dad spent his last, I think it was like 8 or 9 years of his life. His dad spent the last 8 or 9 years living in a home, getting care. So something that you don't want to make your family pay for. Also something you don't want to burden your family with. So, be a good, polite person, and, pay for your death. All right. So hopefully this doesn't depress you, and it helps you understand the gravity of the situation. Yep, that's it for this lesson. Let's go ahead and do another video.